I've always wondered to myself, is there something that helps the entrepreneurs that succeed that they have, which other entrepreneurs don't? Is it something they know? Is it how they run their businesses? Is it the people they hire? Is it where they went to school? Is it their socialization, their background, their education, their mental spaces? What is it that makes the entrepreneur succeed? Welcome to my masterclasses, where I share with you everything you need to know about how to become a high-growth, high-scale entrepreneur. I'm joined by guests. We break down the myths, the ideas, the myths, the legends, everything you need to know to become a high-growth entrepreneur. Warning, this is the High Performance Zone. There are 3 rules to every single masterclass, and I think let's get those rules straight out of the game so that we can get started. Rule number 1, leave our egos at the door. Rule number 2, no such thing as a stupid question. And then the third rule for me is probably the most important. Have fun. Is that okay? Guys, quickly in terms of how this goes, the format of this is I don't offer stuff up front. We start by asking questions. So what happens now is I keep quiet, and somebody here has to start us off with a question. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Somebody has to start us off with a question. The question could be whatever. It could be about your business. It could be about a challenge you're facing. It could be about the stage you're at. It could be about what you're running. The question can be anything. Anybody, start us off with a question. I'll start with you, sir, at the back with the mustard. Very, very nice jersey, by the way. Requires a lot of courage to wear that kind of color. Go for it, sir.
Hi, Bossy.
Yo.
I'm Winnie. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man.
Number 1. So I have sort of like a big picture question, and I don't know if it really helps, but it's just me thinking idealistically. So in your book on page 58, you talk about context and how the retailers are responding to the socio-economic context.
Yeah.
And the like. What do you think small businesses, entrepreneurs, and idealists overall could be doing to create shared value in a way which not just sustains them as far as their business model is concerned, but somehow is meeting a social ill?
Yeah.
So it's sort of that meeting of the two worlds to have something scalable long term.
It's a great question. It's a great question, and I don't have the answer for it. By the way, another thing about me is if I don't know, I'll say, I don't know. I don't have the answer for it, but I can offer this as a thought, right? I worry about how many of us are making apps. I think there are too many of us making apps, guys. I think too many of us watch Netflix. And so sometimes you kind of forget that this is not Manhattan. And so what we're doing is we're solving first world problems, but you live in a third world context. Let me just expand on this. I wonder if you guys have thought about this, but a part of South Africa's challenge in my mind is that the systems are architectured using first world architecture, but 80% of the population lives in the third world. That's why we come from where we come from to work where we work and then go back to where we come from. You go into any township in a weekday after 5 o'clock and the smog is pretty clear. You can see the smog. Everybody uses coal-fired stoves. But people are talking about renewable energy. And our government is spending money financing renewable energy when our people are living in a third world construct. Do you know what I mean? There's a kid right now somewhere writing an app about dating, but the road he lives in has potholes. Sometimes I think we just got to fix the problems of where we are, not the problems of where we wished we were. So to your point about context, I tell you who's fantastic at this, and you guys are not going to like the answer. Afrikaners, boy. Afrikaners are good at living in the reality they're in and solving problems for the reality they have. That's kind of why they created Oranje. Not all of them. I don't want to be all inclusive. But for me, Shoprite is Afrikaner owned, right? Pepco, Afrikaner owned. Don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know that Pepco is the largest retailer of airtime in South Africa? Larger even than Blue Telecoms, Blue Label. Pepco is the largest retailer of nappies in the African continent. Pepco sells, true story, Pepco sells more t-shirts per hour than BMW sells cars per year. That's Pepco. But, so you go and check what the executives of Pepco earn. Yet when I mention it, siyabahleka. Aye, Pep. Where the money is not always where the ego is, man. You know, that's why we build apps, because it's, I have an app. You know, and you can hit us with your English, right? I got the app. No, but what problem are you solving? Like, actually, what is the problem that you're solving? Because one, you know, the rules of scale are very simple. They weren't written by me. Everybody knows them. The first rule of scale is solve a problem that's a big problem. The second rule of scale is make sure you know how to distribute the solution to the problem, distribution. The third rule of scale is make sure you know how to collect your money. That's it. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys, so let me share this with you. This is, when we, in the firm, this is kind of how we know when entrepreneurs are doing this for the first time, or if they've been here before. You look at where the entrepreneur is placing emphasis in terms of how they're building their business. I'm going to share this with you guys up front. So, first-time entrepreneurs focus on product. So when they pitch their business, they'll tell you all about the product, the thing, how it works. They get really obsessed with the architecture of the product. Yeah? Anytime you are focusing on product differentiation, I can tell you're a first-time entrepreneur. Because you genuinely believe the customers will buy you because the product is superior. Many of us here are wearing goods that are not superior to any other good. Yeah? We use stuff every time that's not necessarily superior to any other thing. But there's a huge focus on product. First-time entrepreneurs usually focus on product because that's what turns you on. You know, you like to sit in the room and tinker and fix it. So what you do when business doesn't go well is rather than fix the business, what do you fix? The product. There's nothing wrong with the product. We have this expression in the firm, I call it a DOD. It's a definition of done. So when we start a project, we go, what's the definition of done? Not the definition of perfect, the definition of done. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough. Yeah? Because what happens between good enough and perfect is every amount of money that you invest is simply a premium you're paying that you're not going to earn back from the customer. So, good enough is good enough. Like, it's fine, it works, it does the job. Sell it now. Yeah? So first-time entrepreneurs notoriously focus on product. Second-time entrepreneurs, and this is the conversation we're having, focus on this. Because the guy, when the business failed his first time, figured that the reason the business failed wasn't because the product was not good quality. It was because nobody could buy it. Any of you here who are in like a retail business or a product business know exactly what I'm talking about. You can make them. If people can't buy them, it doesn't matter. Yeah? So distribution is the game. The most valuable companies in the world, guys, are not product companies. They're not brand companies. They're distribution companies. Amazon is a distribution business. I saw a graph done by, what's his name? Asian fellow. He runs, really good guy, runs a VC firm in Silicon Valley. He sent, in our WhatsApp group, he sent out a graph. I saw it this morning. And they've just finished doing research. And according to that research, Amazon today has a more sophisticated logistics network than UPS, FedEx, and the Postal Service. So the value of Amazon is linked directly to the growth in the logistics network of Amazon. I want you to consider this. There's some of us here who've bought stuff on Amazon who come from places where that stuff was delivered and the founder of Amazon doesn't even know that place exists. So what did he fix? He fixed the distribution problem. Often the challenge you're facing is just distribution. And it's not just distribution of product, right? Sometimes it's distribution of ideas. Those of you especially who work in the knowledge economy, it's just your ideas have not been widely accepted. So if you can distribute your ideas, people will buy. 10 years ago, nobody was talking land. Now we're all talking land. That's an idea distributed. And some of us are talking it, not even having really studied it, and are accepting it as a means. Like, no, we need it. Because another thing that happens when you get your ideas really well distributed is you get what is called benefit of doubt. Sometimes you can say stuff and not have to prove it. It just becomes true. Nike releases a product and tells you it is the best. You trust them. Why? Because it's Nike. They don't have to prove it's the best. Yeah, they've proven enough times the stuff they say that everything they say you take to be true until proven otherwise. Yeah? So distribution is huge. Anyone know what is the most valuable and most recognized brand in the world? Yes, sir? Coca-Cola. Dead right. True story. All over the world, no matter where in the world you go, if you say the word Coca-Cola, people know what you're talking about. Yeah? Do you know what's the second? Nelson Mandela. Fact. Yeah. Yeah, Nelson Mandela. And then third are the words mama. Did you know that? No matter where in the world, yeah. Mama is third to Nelson. Try that, right? Because Chinese people don't say mama. Yeah? So the second is distribution, right? The third is value chain. Third-time entrepreneurs focus on value chain. We've spent a lot of time in a couple of past masterclasses doing work on value chain. Like, how do you build a value chain? And somebody has the question here, and I'll try to answer it. But I today, building my business, I'm trying to build this thing. Yeah? If you get the value chain of your business right, they can catch you. They can hate, but they can't catch. You know, value chain is everything. Yeah? So when you go to the store and you buy printing paper, see if I can explain this. When you go to the store and you buy printing paper, you are right at the bottom of probably what is like 100,000 steps in the Nampak value chain. Because it's like this. You're here. You buy a box of printing paper for your company. But for Nampak to make the printing paper available, they've got a manufacturing facility somewhere that gets huge volumes of paper and it cuts it into A4, A3, A1 printing paper. So they've got a factory somewhere with a factory manager who runs it that employs a couple of thousand people. Yeah? So think about this as the retail where you buy. Think about this as the wholesale. But God didn't invent paper. He gave us trees. So there's a process of taking it from the tree to the paper. You get it? Nampak's value chain is that process. That's why today, if you wanted to start a print paper company, you can't do it. Follow me. So the factory does wholesale. But before that, there's something that happens here, which is a massive industrial plant somewhere. Yeah? And in this industrial plant, they turn the pulp into paper. Before that, there's literally a forest somewhere with trees where they turn the tree into the pulp, which goes pulp into the paper into the thing you buy. Right? Right. So then your government says, we need 100 black industrialists. Serious? Yeah. Like, how did we get to 100? Why not 50? Why not 101? Why 100? So anyway, they say this, right? And then what happens is a government department somewhere pushes out a tender and it says, we are Department of Education, we need 5 years supplied, this doesn't work, we need 5 years supplied worth of printing paper. To get that contract, you need to be 100% black-owned business, and then a whole host of other things, yeah? So you put up the tender document, you register your CC, you get your tax clearance, your bank account, you write your profile, you do a 3-page website, about us, contact details, other, right? So you do the whole process. You go through, you got the whole thing. And then what happens is you get the 5-year tender to supply paper. Where are you going to buy it from? Exactly. That's why 25 years into what is supposed to be a transformation, you have transformed fuck all. Because you guys keep giving opportunities at retail, you're not transforming the value chain. So you don't change the value chain, nothing changes. I can give you, right now, the Department of Gauteng can give you a tender on banking services. And you can win it. You literally win it. They give you a tender for banking services, and they give it to you. Do you have a bank? Manger? So when you get the tender, where are you going? You're going to go to FNB, ABSA, and then you're going to go, guys, I've got this tender, help. Now here's what you guys, this is the genius of this. Like when I learned this, I was like, here's the genius of this. Here's the genius of this. So this whole value chain is built this way. Yeah? We think money is in retail. There's no money in retail. Why? Because retail is volume-based and price-sensitive. The first thing the customer says is, can I get it cheaper? Why is it so expensive? So if there's no money in retail, then where's the money? It's further up the value chain. See, because if I buy the fields where I plant the trees, then I plant the trees, which means today, the trees I'm cutting down, I planted 20 years ago. Just so we're clear. That's what we call long-term planning. That thing they've been doing at SAA, but they do it every year. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry. Yeah? So they planted 20 years ago. Gave the tree 20 years to grow. Now the tree's grown, I cut the tree down. Then I take the tree and I turn the tree into pulp. I take the pulp, I turn the pulp into paper. All of these are in my balance sheet. I own these businesses. Which means if it costs me, this is so important that you follow, 1 rand to plant a tree every year for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, the cost of producing a tree is 20 rand. But I own the factory that takes the tree and turns it into pulp. So I sell this tree to the factory for 20 rand. I don't have to make a profit, I just got to break even. Yeah? The factory takes it and turns it from that. They go through a chemical process, they beneficiate it, they turn it from pulp into paper. Then they sell it to, and by the way, there's like 1,000 other steps here, I'm skipping. This is a very simplified model. But then they sell it down here, and they go, well, we need to make a little bit of money. Just a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to sell it for 25 bucks. And that 5 rand is the additional value add of turning it from pulp into paper. By the time you go to the store, they sell it here for 100 rand. Then you go, it's expensive. Data must fall. Yeah? So, but we think for the price to go down, create competition. Yeah, because you see, when they give you that tender, yeah, you have to buy from them because you don't have these facilities. But let's imagine that you did. Let's actually imagine that you went up here and created a wholesale business. Let's imagine that you did. Let's just imagine that you did. Even if you built a wholesale business, where are you going to get the land from to plant the trees? And if you got that, who's going to give you 20 years of working capital to keep planting trees without making a cent? And let's say you got that. Then who's going to give you 1 billion rand to build a factory so that you can turn the tree into pulp? Let's say you got that too. Where are you going to get the people? How are you going to hire them? Do you understand? This entire system is built over 100 years. You can't just do this overnight. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, man, jump in. Go for it.
So if let's say that we didn't give that guy the tender,
Yeah,
took it straight to the company,
yeah.
how do you think it would add value?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. I'm not saying that that's what they should do. I'm just saying the transformation doesn't happen here. It happens up here.
Okay.
And I'm not being literal about the land question. I'm just saying when you transform, all transformed economies transform at source. You got to go, what's the source? You want to transform banking? Stop selling shares to black people in banks. Create banks. Like, give out more banking licenses. And that's just this. I was in Tanzania yesterday. They got 39 banks there, man. 39 banks. They got a middle class that's like 10% the size of ours. So when South Africans tell you, well, there's no space for a bank, bullshit. There is space for a bank. The reason you can't create a bank is because the banking regulations are written using first world principles and you live in a third world country.
The question is then, what should we think, or at what level should we think as tech entrepreneurs to effectively play in a disruptive space that's really solving real issues for the South African context, and as well as, you know, being in a place where we're so disruptive that we get your big, you know, firms buying us and large stakes, right?
Yeah.
Because we are disrupting their business models, disrupting, you know, their value chains essentially.
Cool, man.